Rain hammered the roof like 1,000 accusations, each drop a reminder that the world outside our crumbling Portland bungalow didn't care about the storm raging inside me. Theo huddled on the threadbare couch, his knees pulled to his chest, those emerald eyes flickering with the lightning flashes. Eyes that had always seen too much, even when he pretended not to. In that electric silence, broken only by the howl of wind through the oaks, I crossed the room and knelt before him, my voice a ragged whisper. Theo, what if I told you I've been waiting for a night like this to finally say it? I love you, not like a brother should. The words hung there, heavier than the thunder, and for a heartbeat, the universe held its breath. Theo's face crumpled, not in horror, but in the raw, aching recognition of a secret we'd both buried under layers of sibling banter and forced normalcy. Our parents had left that morning for a weekend retreat in the Cascades, chasing some illusion of marital bliss after years of dad's bar fights and mom's pill bottles, leaving us, 2 orphans in all but name, to navigate the ghosts of our fractured home. I was 25, Elias Harper, the eldest by 6 years, the one who dropped out of community college to sling lattes at a hipster cafe downtown, scraping by to keep the lights on. Theo was 19, fresh out of high school, with dreams of art school in Seattle that we'd laugh about over microwave dinners. But tonight, those dreams felt like distant stars, unreachable in the face of what simmered between us. He didn't pull away when my hand found his knee, trembling under the denim. Elias, he breathed, voice cracking like the branches outside. You mean, like that? Like the way I've been drawing you in my sketchbook, hiding it under the mattress because it scares me how real it feels. His confession cracked open the dam, and suddenly we were spilling truths we'd hoarded like contraband. How I'd lingered too long in the shower after his high school swim meets, stealing glances at the lithe lines of his body. How he'd blush when I ruffled his hair, pretending it was brotherly affection when it ignited something fiercer. The rain blurred the windows, isolating us in this bubble of faded wallpaper and creaking floorboards. A world where the rules of blood and society dissolved in the heat of our shared gaze. I pulled him closer, our foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the dim lamplight. We've been alone in this house for years, Theo, but tonight we're really alone. No more pretending. My fingers traced the curve of his jaw, soft as the boy he'd been, but now edged with the man he was becoming, the one who made my heart stutter like a faulty engine. He leaned in, tentative, lips brushing mine in a kiss that tasted of salt and storm, sweet and terrifying. It was wrong, the world would scream, but in that moment, it was the only truth that mattered, a lifeline in the chaos of our lives. We broke apart gasping, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and unspoken fears. Theo's hands fisted in my shirt, anchoring us both. What if they find out? Dad would kill us. Mom, she'd just disappear again. His voice was a plea, laced with the scars of Christmases ruined by shouts, birthdays forgotten in the haze of their addictions. I'd shielded him from it all, lying about the eviction notices, forging Mom's signature on school forms, because loving him had always meant more than biology. It meant fierce, unyielding protection, the kind that blurred lines until they vanished. I don't care, I lied, because I did, God, I did. But the alternative was worse. Another day of watching him date girls from his art class, forcing smiles while my chest caved in. This is us, Theo. Our secret, our strength. We tumbled onto the couch then. A tangle of limbs and whispered promises, the storm outside mirroring the one within. His skin was fever-hot under my palms, every touch a revelation, mapping territories we'd only dreamed of. Laughter bubbled up between kisses, nervous and giddy, as we shed clothes like old skins, my flannel hitting the floor, his hoodie rumpled aside, revealing vulnerabilities we'd never shared. But dawn crept in too soon, gray light filtering through the blinds like a judgmental eye. Theo stirred in my arms, his head on my chest, and panic flickered in his eyes. Elias, what did we do? Not regret, exactly, but the weight of it crashing down, the society that would brand us monsters, the family that might shatter irreparably. I held him tighter, vowing silently to fight for this. For us, even as doubt gnawed at the edges. Little did I know, that offer I'd made in the thunder's roar wasn't just a spark. It was a wildfire, one that would consume everything in its path before forging something unbreakable from the ashes. As the coffee brewed, its bitter aroma grounding us back to routine, Theo sketched idly on a napkin, a rough outline of our entwined forms, shadowed and intimate. Promise me, he said, voice steadying, that this isn't the end of us being brothers, just more. I nodded, throat tight, because in his eyes, I saw not just desire, but the boy who'd trusted me with his first bike crash, his first heartbreak over a bully's taunt. This was evolution, not erasure, a deeper bond, laced with the risk of ruin. We spent the day in fragile domesticity, burnt toast and bad jokes, wandering the misty streets of our Selwood neighborhood, hand in hand until a passing neighbor's glance forced us apart. Portland's progressive facade, rainbow flags fluttering from porches, queer cafes buzzing on Division Street, offered a veneer of safety, but we both knew the underbelly. Whispers in locker rooms, the church dad dragged us to his kids preaching fire and brimstone. Theo's phone buzzed with a text from his best friend, Mia, inviting him to a gallery opening. He showed it to me, a silent question. Go, I urged, masking the jealousy twisting in my gut. Live your life. I'll be here. But as evening fell, the storm's remnants drizzling softly, doubt festered. Alone in the kitchen, scrubbing dishes that mocked our normalcy, I replayed the night. The taste of him, the way he'd gasped my name like a prayer. Was I stealing his future? Tainting the brotherly love with something selfish? The doorbell jolted me, heart slamming. It was Dad, back early, reeking of whiskey and failure, Mom trailing behind like a ghost. Forgot my damn wallet, he growled, eyes narrowing at the disarray. The couch cushions askew, Theo's sketchbook peeking from under a pillow. Panic surged as Theo emerged from his room, cheeks flushing. Hey, Pops, he managed, voice too high. Dad's gaze sharpened, landing on the napkin sketch I'd foolishly left on the counter. Our faces unmistakable, in an embrace that screamed taboo. The air thickened, silence a noose. What the hell is this? Dad snatched it, crumpling the paper, his face purpling with rage born of his own buried shames. Theo stepped forward, brave in a way that broke me. It's me and Elias, Dad. We're together. The words detonated, Dad's fist slamming the table, Mom shrinking into the corner. Shouts erupted, accusations of sickness, betrayal, the end of everything holy. I shoved between them, shielding Theo as Dad lunged, his beer gut heaving with fury. You corrupted him, he bellowed, spittle flying. Fists flew in the chaos, my lips splitting on the cabinet edge, Theo's cry piercing the din. Mom's voice cut through, frail but fierce. Enough, Tom. Look at them. They're more whole than we've ever been. Her admission hung, a crack in the facade, revealing her own quiet sorrows, the affair she'd whispered about in therapy sessions I'd eavesdropped on. Dad staggered back, deflating like a punctured tire, tears carving tracks through his stubble. My boys, what have I done? In the aftermath, as sirens wailed faintly, someone must have called the cops. We sat in stunned silence, the family we'd lost and found in one brutal night. Theo's hand slipped into mine under the table, a defiant anchor. That offer, that reckless confession, hadn't just changed us. It had forced the truth into the light, burning away the lies that had poisoned our home for years. But the real storm was just beginning. Dad stormed out into the rain, tires screeching on the slick driveway, Mom collapsing into sobs that echoed her lifelong defeat. Theo and I retreated to my room, barricading the door with a chair, our bodies curling together on the narrow bed. I'm scared, he admitted, fingers tracing the bruise blooming on my cheek. But I'm not sorry. Neither was I. In the quiet that followed, we talked, not of passion, but of futures. His art school applications, my dreams of opening a bookstore in the Pearl District, a life where we could be brothers, lovers, survivors. Days blurred into a tense truce. Mom, in a rare spark of resolve, filed for divorce papers that afternoon, her hands shaking but determined. I've let this family rot long enough, she said, packing a bag for a women's shelter downtown. Dad didn't return, his texts a slurry of apologies and rants, vanishing into the ether like so many before. Theo and I navigated the wreckage, school counselors for him, a therapist I finally booked for myself, sessions where I unpacked the guilt of desiring the one person who'd always been my light. Portland's queer community became our lifeline, a support group at Q Center, where stories of hidden loves and family fractures mirrored our own. There, Theo found colors for his canvases, vibrant reds of anger, soft blues of healing, while I learned to voice the ache of loving across lines society deemed uncrossable. Our first public date was tentative. A walk along the Willamette, hands brushing under the Hawthorne Bridge, the city lights winking like conspirators. When he kissed me there, unhurried and sure, passers-by barely glanced. Portland's embrace a balm on wounds still raw. Yet tension simmered. Mia confronted Theo at the gallery, her eyes wide with betrayal. Him? Your brother? That's messed up, Theo. Her words sliced, but he stood firm, sketching her hurt into a portrait that captured not judgment, but the complexity of love's shadows. I faced my own ghosts at the cafe, a regular, a burly ex-Marine named Rick, overhearing whispers and cornering me in the alley. Heard about you and the kid. Keep it in the family, freak. His punch landed square, ribs cracking, But I fought back, fueled by the boy waiting at home, his trust a shield stronger than steel. Through it all, our nights wove us tighter. Slow dances in the living room to old vinyl records Mom left behind, confessions over shared joints on the roof, watching freight trains rumble past like metaphors for journeys unfinished. Theo's 18th birthday, no, 19th, the one we'd reclaim, fell on a crisp October eve, leaves carpeting the backyard in gold. I blindfolded him, leading him to the deck where fairy lights twinkled, a makeshift easel bearing a canvas I'd labored over in secret. Us, not as brothers bound by blood, but as souls entwined, free. He wept when he saw it, pulling me into a kiss that tasted of forever. "This is what you offered that night," he murmured. "Not just your body, but your heart, unafraid." We made love under the stars, gentle and profound, the world fading to the rhythm of our breaths, a symphony of acceptance. Months turned the page. Mom found a studio apartment in Alberta Arts District, her laughter returning over brunches where she sketched with Theo, her own hidden sketches revealing a bisexuality long suppressed. Dad entered rehab in Eugene, sporadic calls laced with regret, a tentative bridge rebuilding. We moved into a tiny walk-up near Powell's Books, walls echoing with our laughter, Theo's first exhibit drawing crowds who saw not scandal, but beauty in our story. One evening, as snow dusted the evergreens, Portland's rare winter gift, we stood on our balcony, arms around each other. "That day," Theo said, turning to me, "when you offered everything, you saved us." I kissed his temple, the boy who'd become my world. In the end, what changed wasn't just us, but the lie that love must fit neat boxes. Ours was messy, profound. A testament that in vulnerability, we find grace, that family isn't forged in silence, but in the courage to speak. And so, in the quiet heart of America, two brothers became something more. Lovers, partners, a quiet revolution against the storms that tried to break us. The canvas mocked me from the corner of our cramped living room, Theo's latest piece. A swirling vortex of crimson and indigo, bodies merging in abstract ecstasy that screamed our secret to anyone who dared look close. It was 2 weeks after that rain-soaked night, and the high of our confession had curdled into a gnawing dread, the kind that clawed at my insides during graveyard shifts at the cafe. I'd catch myself staring at customers, wondering if they could smell the sin on me. The way Theo's cologne lingered on my skin like a brand. He was out now, sketching at a park near Reed College, oblivious to the shadows I imagined closing in. I paced the kitchen, phone clutched like a grenade. Mom's last voicemail replayed in my head. "Elias, honey, come stay with me in the city. Bring Theo. We need to talk." Her voice had that waver, the one that preceded her vanishing ex, but this time it carried an undercurrent of resolve, or was it fear? Dad's truck had circled the block twice yesterday, engine rumbling like a threat. Theo dismissed it with a shrug, his optimism a shield I envied, but I knew better. Secrets like ours didn't stay buried in a town where everyone knew your middle name and your father's sins. The door creaked open, admitting a gust of chill air, and Theo, cheeks flushed from the wind, sketchpad tucked under his arm. "Missed you," he said, dropping his bag and wrapping around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. His warmth seeped through my hoodie, chasing the cold, but guilt twisted sharper. "Babe, we gotta talk about boundaries," I started, turning to face him, my hands framing his face. Those freckles like constellations I mapped nightly. "Not out there. Not yet." His eyes darkened, hurt flickering like a struck match. "So we're back to hiding? After everything?" The accusation stung because he was right. I was the one flinching at doorbells, double-checking locks. That night, our lovemaking turned urgent, a clash of need and frustration, his nails raking my back as if to etch permanence. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, he traced the scar on my knuckles from Dad's last outburst years ago. "Elias, remember when you punched that guy for calling me a fag in middle school? You didn't hide then." I swallowed hard, the memory a knife, blood on the playground asphalt, Theo's grateful hug that first stirred forbidden warmth in my chest. "That was different. Protecting you, yeah. But this, loving you like this? It's us against the world, and the world's got fists." He nodded, understanding dawning, and we fell asleep plotting escapes. A road trip to the coast, crashing with queer friends in Astoria, where the sea could swallow our fears. Morning brought reality crashing back. A knock, insistent, authoritative. Through the peephole, 2 uniforms. Social services, tipped off by a neighbor who'd seen Theo's sketch through the window, misinterpreting it as abuse. My blood ran cold as they questioned us separately. Theo in the kitchen, me on the porch. "Sir, We have reports of inappropriate relations between siblings. Is there truth to this? The woman's eyes were kind but probing, her partner's hand hovering near his radio. I lied through gritted teeth, spinning a tale of artistic expression, brotherly closeness, anything to deflect. Theo echoed it flawlessly, his actor's poise from school plays saving us. But the interrogation left us shaken, trust in our sanctuary fractured. That afternoon, we burned the napkin sketch in the backyard fire pit, flames devouring the evidence, but not the embers in our hearts. Desperation drove me to action. I called the Q Center hotline, voice anonymous at first, spilling our story to a counselor named Javier, whose calm baritone promised resources. Legal aid for emancipated youth, support groups for incest survivors. Not that ours was abuse, but the label stung a societal slap. You're not alone, he said. Many navigate this with therapy, boundaries, focus on consent, communication. Theo joined the call, his questions tumbling out, about coming out, about art as catharsis. By the end, we had a plan. Couples counseling, a petition for independence since Theo turned 19 last month. But plans crumbled when Dad showed up unannounced, sober for once, eyes bloodshot from crying or withdrawal. He stood on the stoop, hat in hand, looking smaller than the giant who'd loomed over my childhood. Boys, I need to see you. Theo hesitated, but I waved him back, facing the man who'd taught me to fish and to fear. Inside, over weak coffee, he broke. I knew Elias. About me back in the army, that sergeant. It ended bad. Thought I could beat it out of you too. His confession hung, a bridge of shared shame, and for the first time, I saw him not as monster, but man, flawed, reaching. Theo forgave first, hugging him awkwardly, tears mingling. I held back, walls cracking slowly. You hurt us, Dad, but if you're here to try. We talked till dusk, raw edges smoothing, him promising AA meetings, us promising honesty. He left with a key to our place, for emergencies. A gesture fragile as new ice. That night, Theo and I celebrated survival with takeout pho from the Vietnamese spot on Milwaukee, slurping noodles cross-legged on the floor, laughing at bad puns. His foot nudged mine under the table, a spark reigniting. To us, he toasted with a stolen beer, clinking my glass. In bed, lovemaking was tender, exploratory, fingers learning curves, whispers affirming worth. You're my anchor, I murmured into his hair, and he replied, and you're my storm, wild but home. Yet shadows lingered. Mia's distance grew, her texts curt, culminating in a coffee shop showdown where she unloaded. I love you, Theo, but this is toxic. Get help. He came home devastated, sketching her face twisted in pain. But by morning, he channeled it into a series, portraits of fractured loves, submitted to a local queer art walk. Acceptance came in waves. A Gallery Scouts email, a feature in Just Out magazine, anonymized but empowering. I quit the cafe, landing a gig at Powell's, shelving books on hidden histories, queer icons like Audre Lorde, whose words on erotic power resonated deep. Evenings, we'd read aloud, Theo's voice weaving magic, turning our tiny apartment into a haven. But climax brewed when Dad relapsed, a drunken voicemail ranting slurs, dragging Mom into it. We drove to her studio in the rain. Ironic echo of that first night, finding her barricaded, bruises fresh on her arm. Fury propelled me. I called the cops this time, pressing charges for domestic violence, holding Theo as he sobbed for the family we'd never had. In the ER waiting room under fluorescent harshness, he clung to me. Don't let go, Elias. Ever. I didn't. That offer, that night, had birthed not just passion, but resilience, forging us into advocates. Our story a whisper in support circles, inspiring others to claim their truths. Spring bloomed, cherry blossoms dusting our walks, and with it, growth. Theo's exhibit opening drew a crowd. Rainbow pins glinting, applause thundering as he dedicated the show to the brother who saw me first. I stood in the back, pride swelling, our eyes locking across the room. A silent vow. Later, in the alley behind the gallery, under stars peeking through city haze, we kissed like victors, the world none the wiser, but us forever changed. Summer heat baked Portland's streets into a shimmering haze, turning our apartment into a sweatbox where every breath carried the tang of asphalt and blooming jasmine from the neighbor's vine. Theo's exhibit had catapulted him into local buzz. Interviews with Willamette Week, a scholarship to PNCA for fall, but fame's glare amplified our scrutiny. Whispers followed us at farmers markets. That's the brother duo, right? The one with the art. We'd smile through it, hands brushing in crowded aisles, but isolation crept in, a slow poison. I threw myself into work at Powell's, recommending memoirs like Fun Home to wide-eyed customers, finding solace in Alison Bechdel's lines about tangled family loves. But home was where the real unraveling happened. Theo withdrew into his sketches, dark swirls dominating. Figures locked in embraces that bordered on violence, mirrors of our inner wars. It's not us, he'd insist when I asked, but his eyes betrayed the lie, haunted by nightmares of Dad's fists, Mom's silence. One sweltering July night, after a shift that left me bone-tired, I found him on the fire escape, shirtless and slick with sweat, charcoal smudging his fingers as he drew the skyline. Can't sleep, he admitted, voice small. I joined him, our bare shoulders touching, the city's hum a distant lullaby. Tell me what's eating you. He hesitated, then poured it out. Doubts about us, the age gap, the blood tie, was it real love or trauma's twist? What if I'm broken, Elias? What if you deserve normal? His words gutted me, because I'd voiced them in therapy, to Javier, who urged reframing. Incestuous attraction isn't always abuse. Sometimes it's genuine, if consensual and explored. But hearing it from Theo shattered something. I pulled him close, our sweat mingling, hearts pounding in sync. You're not broken. We're both scarred. Yeah, but this, I kissed his neck, slow, reverent. This is healing. We made love there, under the moon's indifferent gaze, bodies arching against rusted metal, cries swallowed by the night. It was cathartic, a reclamation, leaving us spent and sated, promises renewed. But external tempests gathered. Dad's rehab stint ended with discharge papers and a court date for Mom's assault charge. He reached out via letter, penitent scrawl on yellowed paper, apologizing for generations of silence around his own queerness, suppressed in Nam-era barracks. I see now why I raged. Don't let my poison taint you. Theo read it aloud, tears streaking, and we burned it like the sketch, ashes scattering on the breeze, a ritual of release. Mom, meanwhile, thrived in her new life. A job at a co-op gallery, therapy unpacking her bisexuality, even a date with a soft-spoken librarian. Her invitation to a family dinner, neutral ground at a vegan spot on Burnside, tested us. We arrived early, Theo fidgeting with his cufflinks, me scanning for exits. When she hugged us, her embrace lingered, eyes searching. I'm proud of you both. Whatever this is, it's yours. Dad shuffled in late, gaunt but clear-eyed, a chip glinting. The meal was awkward, fork scraping, small talk about weather, but midway he cleared his throat. I dropped the fight. Mom's free. And boys, I love you. No conditions. The words landed soft, a bomb, and Theo's hand found mine under the table, squeezing. For the first time we ate as a unit, laughter tentative but real, toasting to second chances. Emboldened, Theo pushed boundaries. A Pride Float entry for his art collective, murals of intertwined figures on warehouse walls in the industrial East Side. Backlash hit fast. A petition online. Protect our youth from deviant displays. Signatures from church groups Dad once dragged us to. Trolls flooded his inbox. Slurs I'd shielded him from as a kid now piercing direct. He crumbled one night, hyperventilating on the bathroom floor, charcoal dust caking his tears. They hate us, Elias, for existing. I held him through the panic attack, rocking like I had when he was 10 and monsters lurked in closets. Let them hate. We have each other. That sparked our advocacy turn. Partnering with Q Center for a workshop on familial queer relationships, anonymized panels where we shared fragments, the storm night, the offer, the transformation, drawing nods from survivors who'd walked similar paths. Javier moderated, his presence steady, and afterward, a young trans kid approached. You gave me hope, my sibling. It's complicated too. Validation fueled us. August brought a road trip, cramming into my beat-up Subaru, heading to the Oregon coast, windows down, indie folk blasting from the speakers. Cannon Beach's haystacks loomed like ancient guardians as we hiked, hands linked on driftwood logs, waves crashing symphonies to our confessions. Remember our first kiss? Theo asked, toes in the surf. Felt like drowning in the best way. We swam naked at dusk, salt stinging, bodies buoyant, emerging to build a fire where we roasted marshmallows and dreams. His gallery in Seattle, my bookstore with a queer-lit section, a life unapologetic. Back home, crisis peaked. Mia, reconciled in fits, confessed her own secret. A crush on Theo that twisted her support into jealousy. Their blowout at a bar, her drunk, him defensive, ended in shouts, her glass shattering. Cops came. Theo arrested for disorderly, me bailing him out at 3 a.m., courthouse reeking of regret. In the car, silent drive home, he broke. I lost my best friend for us. I pulled over, cradling him across the console. She'll come around, or she won't. But you're not alone. Forgiveness arrived unexpectedly. Mia's apology letter, tucked in his mailbox, admitting her biases, wishing happiness. Theo framed it beside his first sketch of us, a gallery of graces. As fall hinted leaves turning amber, we hosted a small gathering. Mom, Dad, sober 6 months, Javier, a handful of allies. Laughter filled the space, stories swapped, and when Theo raised a glass to the offer that changed everything, eyes misted, understanding dawning without words. In quiet moments, our love deepened. Lazy Sundays tracing tattoos, his new one, a wave encircling my initial on his wrist. Midnight runs along the Springwater corridor, breaths sinking in rhythm. The K-drama of our start had mellowed into profound romance, every touch a verse in our epic. Yet I knew, deep down, the real test loomed. Not external foes, but time's erosion, the world's slow grind. But with Theo's head on my chest, heartbeat steady, I believed we'd weather it, emerging not unscathed, but whole. Autumn's chill seeped through the cracks in our apartment walls, carrying the scent of damp leaves and distant wood smoke, a reminder that Portland's mild facade hid sharper edges. Theo's PNCA acceptance letter arrived like a thunderclap. Full ride, starting January, yanking us toward crossroads. Seattle, I echoed over breakfast burritos from the food cart pod, my fork pausing midair. His grin was electric but shadowed. It's an hour away. Weekends, visits. We make it work. Optimism warred with fear in my gut. The logistics of split cities, the ache of empty beds. I'd built my life around him, stocking the fridge with his favorite almond milk, timing shifts to match his studio hours. Now, change loomed, a test of our bond's elasticity. We'll commute like mad, he promised, kissing my knuckles. But doubt whispered. Distance breeds drift, especially for loves deemed fragile. Dad's progress anchored us unexpectedly. He landed a mechanic gig at a shop in Gresham, trading bar stools for tool benches, and invited us to a game, Blazers versus Lakers, at a dive bar, neutral turf. Sitting ringside in the sticky dimness, beers in hand, soda for him, we cheered as Curry sank threes, normalcy a novel thrill. Half-time, he clapped my shoulder. Proud of you, son, for stepping up when I couldn't. Theo beamed, sketching play diagrams on a napkin, and for a moment we were just 3 guys, blood ties untainted. Mom's evolution paralleled. Her first solo show at the Co-op, abstract nudes evoking her liberated spirit. We attended opening night, gallery humming with artsy chatter. Her pieces, bold strokes of flesh and shadow, drawing murmurs of acclaim. Inspired by you boys, she confided later, over Pinot at a corner bistro. Your courage, it woke something in me. Theo hugged her fierce, tears pricking, and I saw the full circle. Pain birthing art, secrets seeding strength. But undercurrents stirred. Theo's professors at PNCA orientation, progressive on paper, eyed his portfolio with veiled concern, one emailing about ethical boundaries in familial representation. Whispers in hallways, a classmate's blog post dissecting incest chic in modern queer art, tagging his work obliquely. He came home raging, canvas slashed in the corner. They reduce us to a trope, like we're not real. I held him as fury ebbed to sobs, rocking on the worn rug. Then show them real. Your truth, unfiltered. That ignited his thesis. A multimedia installation, bloodlines, interweaving video of our Portland walks with layered paintings, audio of our whispers. Consensual, loving, defiantly human. Collaborating became our ritual. Late nights in his makeshift studio, our living room, drop cloths everywhere. Me holding lights while he filmed, our laughter punctuating brushstrokes. Intimacy wove through. Pauses for kisses that deepened into more. Charcoal-streaked bodies collapsing amid supplies. Passion as muse. Winter's grip tightened with snow rare and magical, blanketing the city in hush. Holiday lights twinkled on Nob Hill as we strung our own. Fairy strands across the balcony. A tree scavenged from curbside, ornaments hand-painted with inside jokes. Christmas Eve, family converged. Mom's gingerbread, Dad's off-key carols, gifts modest but heartfelt. Theo's sketch of us as kids for me, a leather journal for his dreams. As midnight tolled, we slipped away to the roof, bundled in shared scarves, watching fireworks burst over the river. This is forever, he murmured, gloved hand in mine. I believed it, snowflakes melting on our lashes. January ripped us apart gently. Theo's dorm in Capitol Hill buzzed with creative chaos. Peers from diverse worlds, ideas sparking like synapses. Our first weekend reunion was feverish. Me driving north in sleet, arriving to find him buried in critiques, eyes alight. We explored Seattle's underbelly, Fremont's troll sculpture, Pike Place's bustle, stealing moments in coffee nooks, thighs pressing under tables. Nights in his twin bed, cramped and fervent, reaffirmed us. Distance is just geography, I gasped, his name a mantra. But strange showed. Missed calls piled during my closing shifts. His texts laced with exhaustion from all-nighters. A video call glitch, his roommate bursting in mid-confession, sparked paranoia. Exposure in his new world. Then, the gut punch. A PNCA dean summoning him for a discussion on his project's sensitivity, citing complaints from conservative donors. Tone it down, they urged. Theo refused, voice steal over speakerphone as I listened from Portland. This is my story. Censor it, you erase me. Fallout cascaded. Media pickup in The Stranger. Headlines like Art School Standoff. Incest-inspired exhibit sparks debate. Protests outside campus. Picket signs waving normalize? No. Countered by queer activists chanting solidarity. Theo's phone exploded. We holed up in a Ballard motel, ordering Thai, plotting next moves. Fight or fold? I asked, tracing his tense jaw. Fight, he declared, eyes fierce. We lawyered up, pro bono from Lambda Legal, filing grievances for discrimination, turning pain to precedent. Through it, our love evolved. Letters and mailboxes, care packages of Portland truffles and mixtapes, surprise visits where I'd whisk him to Bainbridge Island ferries for sunset picnics. Intimacy adapted. Phone sex whispered in dawn light. Shared playlists syncing heartbeats across miles. Dad visited Theo's dorm. Awkward but earnest. Gifting a toolbox for fixing what's bent. Mom FaceTimed art critiques, her input sharp and loving. Climax crested in April. Exhibit opening at Alternative Space in Pioneer Square. Rain lashing windows, crowd eclectic. Allies, critics, haters embedded like spies. Theo's voice trembled unveiling bloodlines. Projections of our hands interlacing. Audio of that stormy offer layered over waves. Gasps rippled. Then applause. Thunderous, transformative. A detractor heckled. But I stood sentinel, arm around Theo. Dad beside us growling back. In the chaos, a curator from MoMA approached. Revolutionary. Let's talk New York. Afterglow was ours alone. Crashing in a borrowed loft, champagne fizzing as we celebrated skin to skin. Bodies recounting the journey. Scars from fights, tattoos of commitment. You offered me everything that night. Theo breathed, fingers in my hair. Now, I offer you the world. Spring thawed resentments. PNCA backed down, issuing a diversity statement. Donors defected to progress. Mia reconciled fully, co-curating Theo's next show. Family dinners became staple. Rotating homes, recipes exchanged, Dad's grilling skills redeeming past burns. By summer's return, we bridged the gap. Me subletting a room in Seattle, Powell's transferring me to their Queen and Outpost. Our new place overlooked Lake Union, houseboat views whispering possibilities. Evenings on the deck, kayaks bobbing below, we'd reflect. The hook of that rainy confession, the K-knots untangled through fire. Love, we learned, isn't static. It's a living thing, fed by honesty, resilient in storms. Yet deeper wisdom emerged. In offering vulnerability, we hadn't just changed each other. We'd humanized the taboo, proving that humanity's core, connection, despite odds, transcends judgment. Theo's hand in mine, as kayaks glided into dusk, was proof. We'd built not just a life, but a legacy of courage. The Seattle skyline glittered like a promise kept, its needle piercing the twilight as Theo and I unpacked boxes in our Lake Union perch. A converted attic with slanted ceilings and windows framing houseboats like floating dreams. It was late August, heat lingering in the air thick with salt and ambition. And for the first time since that Portland storm, normalcy felt tangible, not a mirage. Theo's laughter echoed off bare walls as he unearthed a forgotten mug from the bubble wrap, painted with our initials intertwined. A relic from Mom's pottery phase. But beneath the domestic hum, undercurrents pulled. His MoMA buzz had snowballed into a residency offer. 6 months in Manhattan, starting fall, stipend covering flights but not the void it'd carve. It's huge, Elias, he said over pad thai from the floating food truck, chopsticks pausing. But leaving you again? After we just... His eyes, those emerald depths, pleaded for reassurance I clawed to give. Go conquer. I forced, throat tight. I'll hold the fort. Visits, calls, we've danced this before. Truth was, the thought hollowed me. Nights alone loomed. Beds cold without his sprawl. Mornings silent sans his humming sketches. Therapy with Javier, now virtual, probed it. Attachment wounds from Dad's absences, Mom's drifts, amplified by our bond's intensity. Envy the opportunity, Javier coached. Don't let fear eclipse it. I nodded at the screen, but envy gnawed. Theo ascending, canvas to canvas, while I shelved bestsellers, my own novel manuscript gathering dust in a drawer. Dad's call that week bridged unexpected ground. Heard about the Big Apple gig. Fly me out for a visit. Show this old dog the city. His voice, gravelly but warm, carried pride I'd rarely heard. We planned it. A weekend in October, him crashing on our couch. Well, air mattress. Touring MoMA's halls where Theo's work might one day hang. It humanized him further. The man who'd once wielded belts now Googling how to support queer kids. Sending articles on allyship. Mom, ever the artist, countered with her own milestone. A collaborative piece with Theo, mailed swatches for colors symbolizing our family's arc, stormy grays to radiant golds. Her letters arrived weekly, scented with lavender, chronicling dates with her librarian, Elena. She's steady, like you boys, teaches me patience. It warmed me, seeing her bloom, a ripple from our courage. Theo's departure hit like a squall. Airport goodbyes were cinematic, hugs fierce, kisses stolen in a corner, his backpack heavy with sketchpads. 6 months, he whispered, forehead to mine. Then forever. The drive back was blur of rain-smeared wipers. Radio crooning Bon Iver's melancholy. Alone, I dove into writing. Our story, fictionalized but raw, brothers in a rainy city, offering hearts amid thunder. Words poured, cathartic, pages stacking like bricks for a new foundation. Distance tested as promised. Time zones mangled calls, his 3 a.m. inspirations clashing my dawn jogs. But we innovated. Daily voice memos, Theo narrating subway sketches, me reading draft chapters. Care packages flew. His New York bagels for my locks, my Powell's queer anthologies for his critiques. Intimacy persisted, video sessions turning steamy, pixels bridging miles, laughter punctuating gasps. Backlash resurfaced subtly. A conservative blog unearthed our Portland saga, twisting bloodlines into fodder for a moral decay screed. Petitions targeting PNCA funding. Theo's inbox flooded again. Anonymous venom. Freak show. Keep your perversion off pedestals. He shared screenshots during a call, voice steady but eyes shadowed. They're loud, but the supporters? Louder. Indeed, crowdfunding surged for his residency. Queer artists rallying with manifestos on boundary-breaking love. Dad's visit grounded us. He arrived wide-eyed at Seattle-Tacoma. Flannel swapped for a button-down, gawking at the monorail. We ferried to the city, his awe at Space Needle views melting into stories. Army buddies lost to don't ask, don't tell, regrets unspoken till now. At MoMA, Theo's mentor guided us, pointing future spots for his work. Dad teared up, squeezing my arm. Your brother's a force. Like his big bro. Over beers at a dive in Hell's Kitchen, he opened fully. I was you once, Elias, loving a man, hiding it. Lost him to the war. Don't hide. His vulnerability cracked me. We hugged, rough and real, fathers and sons reconciling. Mom and Elena joined via video, toasting from Portland, her gallery thriving. Family, once shrapnel, now mosaic, pieces fitting, jagged edges softened. Spring residency's end loomed with fanfare. Theo's solo show in Chelsea, echoes of offer, projections of our voices. That first confession looped softly, interwoven with sculptures of intertwined limbs, bronze and tender. Opening night, I flew in, suit rumpled from red eye, heart racing. The crowd swelled. Critics scribbling, collectors bidding, haters picketed outside but drowned by cheers. Theo dedicated it to the one who offered his all, changing my everything. Eyes finding mine across the throng. After, in a Soho hotel, champagne forgotten on the nightstand, we reconnected viscerally. Months longing unleashed, bodies rediscovering rhythms, whispers vowing permanence. Marry me? He asked at dawn. Ring improvised from twisted wire, a sketchpad proposal. Laughter bubbled. Yes, I breathed, sealing it with a kiss. Return to Seattle was transformed. Theo deferred MoMA extensions, prioritizing us. Adjunct teaching at PNCA studio in our attic. I finished the manuscript, querying agents with tales of fraternal fire. Dad started a support group for blue-collar queers in Gresham, Mom's murals adorning community centers. Yet true drama brewed internally. A health scare, Theo's chest pains during a jog, revealing anxiety's grip, therapy intensifying, forced reckoning. I pushed too hard, he admitted in sessions. Fearing if I stop, we'll fade. We recommitted. Weekly date nights, kayak sunsets, improv classes, boundaries drawn, art yes, but self-care mandatory. Summer solstice, we wed quietly, City Hall, rainbow officiant, family witnessing on Zoom. Rings simple, vows poetic. From that rainy alone, to this endless us. Reception on our deck, Elena's cake, Dad's toast slurring sentiment. To love that defies. In quiet aftermath, as fireflies danced over the lake, Theo sketched our hands, wedded and sure. The offer that night hadn't just altered trajectories. It illuminated humanity's spectrum, love unbound by norms, resilient in revelation. We'd emerged not unscathed, but luminous, a beacon for those still in storms. 2 years post-vows, Seattle's relentless drizzle had woven into our rhythm, a constant underscore to the life we'd carved from chaos. Theo's adjunct gig bloomed into a tenured track at PNCA, his classes on queer narratives in visual art, drawing overflow crowds. Students like the shy non-binary artist who confided, "Your story got me through coming out to my sister." My novel, Thunder Offer, landed a small press deal, its semi-autobiographical tale of brotherly love amid Pacific Northwest tempests earning quiet acclaim. Readings at Elliott Bay Book Company packed with nodding faces. But prosperity masked fissures. Dad's group thrived, yet his health faltered, liver strain from old demons. Doctor's orders stern. Slow down. Mom and Elena's commitment ceremony in Portland's Japanese garden was a tearjerker, vows echoing ours, but whispers of her chemo loomed. Early breast cancer, caught via routine scan. "It's stage 1, she assured over brunch, but her eyes betrayed the fear. Theo internalized it, sketches turning somber, portraits of fragile forms, edges fraying. "What if we lose them?" He'd murmur post-calls, curling into me on our king bed, now ours alone in the expanded loft we'd bought with book royalties. I'd hold him, tracing wedding band indents, reminding, "We've grieved before. We'll grieve together." Intimacy became sanctuary. Slow mornings tangled in Egyptian cotton, coffee steaming as we planned travels. Delayed dreams of Paris ateliers, Tokyo ink masters. External gales howled anew. A national news outlet, chasing clickbait, profiled the brothers who broke taboos, dredging Portland scandals, interviewing estranged relatives who'd ghosted us. Headlines screamed, "Incest love story shocks nation." Trolls swarming socials, death threats pinging Theo's DMs. PNCA's board wavered, citing reputational risk, but student petitions 1,000 strong swayed them, turning threat to triumph. I endowed chair in his name, the Harper Fellowship for Boundary-Pushing Art. I faced my own arena. Book tour stops in Bible Belt cities. Q and is laced with hostility. "Isn't this grooming?" Atlanta moderator probed. I'd counter calm, channeling Javier's wisdom. Love's form varies. Consent and harm define ethics, not blood. Applause followed, books signing in waves. But hotel nights alone amplified loneliness. Theo's video check-ins a tether stretched thin. Crisis crested with Mom's diagnosis worsening. Mets to lymph, treatment aggressive. We shuttled between cities, me driving her to infusions at OHSU. Theo flying in for scans, Dad bunking at our place, his snores a comforting rumble. Family huddles in her hospital room became ritual. Hands linked in prayer circles. Secular, hopeful, stories swapped to distract. Theo's latest grant, my sequel outline. Elena's steadfastness anchored, her hand in Mom's a mirror of ours. In the thick, Theo cracked. A midnight breakdown on the balcony. Rain sheeting, him raging at stars. Why now, after we fixed it all? I pulled him inside, our love making a desperate anchor. Fierce, reclaiming, tears salting skin. Dawn brought resolve. He channeled grief into veins of inheritance. An installation touring hospitals. Interactive sculptures where visitors etched family scars, healing through art. Dad's parallel decline accelerated. A fall at the shop, hip fracture, rehab overlapping Mom's rounds. We tag-teamed me with him in Gresham PT sessions, Theo videoing pep talks. His vulnerability peaked one evening, post-surgery haze. "Elias, if I go, tell your kids about the good parts. The fishing trips." Kids, the word hung, a seed we'd mulled. Fostering surrogacy, a future family echoing our mended one. "You tell them yourself?" I choked, Theo nodding fierce beside me. Summer's heat wave broke with tragedy's mercy. Mom stabilized, remission tentative but real. Her hair regrowing in silver curls she styled defiant. Dad rallied too, Walker ditched for Kane. Group expanding to include vets like him. Celebratory barbecue at our loft, grill smoking salmon. Elena's salads, laughter drowning old ghosts. As dusk fell, Theo raised a glass. To offers accepted, storms survived. Eyes met around the circle, ours reflective, grateful. Personal reckonings followed. My sequel delved deeper. Not just romance, but legacy. How our love rippled. Mentoring youth in Q centers, Theo's fellowships birthing new voices. Launch party at our place drew hundreds. Balcony overflowing. Toasts to resilience. A young writer approached. Your book. It mirrored my sibling crush. Gave me words. Theo's touring exhibit hit peaks. Whitney Museum feature. Global press hailing the Harper phenomenon. Backlash faded to footnotes. Society inching toward nuance. Podcasts debating consanguineous queer love. Ethicists nodding to our case as consensual outlier. Anniversary 3. We escape to the San Juans. Cabin on Orcas Island. Ferry rocking us to seclusion. Whale watches by day. Stargazing fires by night. His head in my lap. Fingers sketching constellations on my thigh. That day alone, he mused. Your offer was a portal. To this. Lovemaking under quilts. Gentle as waves. Reaffirmed. Passion undimmed. Evolved to quiet profundity. Yet growth demanded sacrifice. Theo accepted a Berlin fellowship, 3 months, collaborative with European queer collectives. Go, I urged, echoing past graces, but this time with tools. Joint therapy sessions via app, daily haikus exchanged. Airport farewell was tear-free, promises solid. Build worlds. I'll hold ours. Alone, I fostered first. A teen named Riley, trans and runaway, crashing short-term. His stories echoed ours. Family rejection, hidden loves, and mentoring him, cooking chaotic breakfasts, felt like paying forward the offer. Theo's calls brimmed pride. Your dad material, babe. Reunion in Berlin was electric. Gallery hopping tagged her often in tour. His installations pulsing with light. Nights in Kreuzberg dives. Currywurst shared. Bodies sinking to techno beats. Distance sharpens, he said. Hotel sheets rumpled. Homeward, Riley stayed permanent. Adoption papers in motion, our trio forming. By winter solstice, family swelled. Mom's all-clear party. Dad's vow renewal with a widow from his group, surprise romance. Riley's first Pride march arm-in-arm with us. Holidays blended traditions, Elena's lax. Our Yule log adorned with Theo's ornaments. Reflecting poolside in Palm Springs, Mom's recovery gift, Theo sketched our expanded circle. The original offer, raw, risky, had cascaded, not destruction but creation. Love, we'd learned, multiplies when shared, turning personal thunder to communal light. In each other's gaze, across years and kin, we saw eternity, not flawless, but fiercely human. Decades cusp dawned crisp, Seattle's evergreens frosted under rare sun. Our loft expanded to a proper home. Riley's room graffitied with murals he'd painted, Theo's studio spilling canvases onto the deck. At 35, I helmed Powell's queer programming, author tours blending with advocacy keynotes. Theo chaired PNCA's Fine Arts, his Bloodlines series canon in curricula. Riley, now 22, thrived at UW studying graphic design, his transition complete, our chosen son a whirlwind of tattoos and activism. Yet time's subtle erosion tested. Theo's hands, once steady, trembled from overwork, carpal tunnel from endless brushes, therapy gloves mocking his artist soul. What if I can't create anymore? He'd fret in quiet hours, fingers flexing futile. I'd massage them, kissing knuckles scarred from palette knives, reminding, your art's in us now. Riley's designs, my chapters. Intimacy shifted. Less fire, more ember. Spooning under down comforters. Shared baths scented with eucalyptus. Conversations delving souls deeper than flesh. Family's tapestry frayed and rewove. Dad passed gently. Heart attack mid-fishing trip. Age 68. His last words via voicemail. Tell the boys I got it right, finally. Memorial on the Willamette. Ashes scattered where we'd skipped stones as kids. Laughter mingling tears as Riley roasted his grumps' bad jokes. Mom, cancer-free 5 years, leaned on Elena. Their garden home a haven for grandkid visits. Riley's future nebulous, but ours open. A fresh gale, national legislation brewing, Family Purity Act, proposed by far-right senators, targeting deviant relations like ours. Registry for consanguineous couples, custody revocations. News alerts pinged during Theo's lecture, students erupting in walkouts. My keynote in DC became protest fodder. Signs waving love is not a crime. We testified remotely. Theo's voice steady on C-SPAN, recounting that rainy offer, the lives built atop it. Allies flooded inboxes. Glad partnerships, celebrity endorsements from Portland-raised Elliot Page. Riley's crisis amplified stakes. His boyfriend, Jamal, a black trans activist from Howard, faced deportation threats, ICE raids spiking. We lawyered up, hosting strategy sessions in our living room, Theo sketching protest posters, me pulling strings via publisher networks. Nights blurred into vigils. Downtown marches, chants echoing our Portland youth. This is our fight, Theo declared. arm linked with mine and Riley's, Jamal's hand in his. Tension peaked at a rally. Counter-protesters shoving, pepper spray clouding air. I shielded Riley, Theo filming for evidence, Jamal's cough ragged from tear gas. Aftermath bonded unbreakable. Jamal's asylum granted, our affidavits key. Celebrated with rooftop barbecue, skyline toasting resilience. Riley proposed that night, ring glinting. We cried, hugging our boy-turned-man. Personal tempests swirled too. My sequel trilogy wrapped, but writer's block gripped the fourth. Imposter syndrome whispering I'd peaked on our story. Nothing left. Theo coaxed it out. Joint writing retreats to cabins in the Olympics, his prompts drawing from our archive, letters, sketches, voicemails. Breakthrough came mid-hike, waterfall thundering. A tale of future kin, love's echoing hours across generations. Words flowed, cathartic, Theo illustrating covers with tender lines. Theo's tremor worsened. Diagnosis Parkinson's early onset. Genetic lottery's cruel twist. Neurologist's words landed soft but seismic. Meds, therapy, progression slow but inexorable. He withdrew first, canceling classes, studio gathering dust. I can't bear being less. He confessed one rainy eve, curled fetal on the couch. I knelt, as that first night, voice fierce. You're everything, always. We dove into trials, deep brain stimulation consults in Boston, support groups where tremors became badges, not burdens. Riley and Jamal's wedding, intimate, lakeside at Green Lake, marked pivot. Theo walked Riley down the aisle, cane steady, grin wide, vows weaving our legacies. From hidden offers to open hearts, reception danced till dawn, my speech toasting. Love changes everything, multiplies, endures. Post-honeymoon, Theo rallied. Adaptive tools, voice-activated software for art, collaborations with students dictating his visions. His final exhibit, Tremor Tapestries, wove shaky lines into masterpieces, abstracts of quivers, beauty in imperfection. Selling out at Seattle Art Fair, proceeds to Parkinson's queer research. Legacy crystallized. We founded the Harper Institute. Scholarships for LGBTQ plus youth exploring familial bonds. Residencies for disabled artists. Mom endowed a wing at her gallery. Elena curated shows on intergenerational love. Riley's firm designed our logo, interlocked waves, stormy to serene. Anniversary 15. Paris, finally. Eiffel glow, sane strolls hand in hand. Theo's sketchbook filled. Cafe scenes, our reflections in puddles. Hotel nights, his tremor syncing our rhythms. I whispered the original offer, voice thick. And I'd do it again. He smiled, eyes undimmed. You did, every day. Homeward, reflection deepened. That alone day hadn't just altered us. It birthed a movement. Books, exhibits, lives touched. In boardrooms, bedrooms, we'd proven. Human value lies in connection's courage, not conformity. With Theo's head on my shoulder, plain banking west, I knew. Our story, naughty and profound, echoed eternally. A testament that from one offer, worlds unfold.